Alright, what's going on, dudes, and welcome back to Minecraft. In this video I wanted to showcase the Finite Liquid mod, which has been around for quite a while. However, it was updated to 1.6 to include a whole bunch of new stuff, so I thought I'd take it for a test run. So what exactly is Finite Liquid? Well, by default in Minecraft, if you say place down a plane of water or a bucket of water, it will not keep its volume constant, and that if I dig out on either side, it'll actually expand to fill in those squares, and it'll go out for an 8-block radius from the source block until you go down another level, which isn't very realistic. Water would not usually do that. It would actually decrease in height inside this little well I've dug. And that's exactly what Finite Liquid does. So when you install the mod and begin a new world, it'll actually fill in the oceans with the Finite Liquid. And what that does is I'll come over here and dig out a couple blocks. And you can see that the water will actually fill that in. Well, that's nothing unusual. However, when I plug that up, it actually stays. It doesn't get cut off because it's away from the source block. Now what I can do is I can dig over here and the water will actually half its volume. And now it'll be a quarter height. So it actually maintains its volume as would be for water in the real world. Now on top of that, when it rains, it'll actually create puddles of the Finite Liquid on the ground, which can be a bit of an issue if you make redstone creations. Just keep in mind that it will destroy the redstone and redstone torches and whatnot, which is why I've got this huge glass plane over all my stuff over here, because I sort of learned that the hard way. Anyway, once I disable the rain, soon enough all this stuff will end up evaporating and it'll go back to the way it was beforehand. But on top of all the Finite Liquid in the oceans and whatnot, there are actually a whole bunch of blocks that were implemented in order to interact with the new water. So if I come over here, I'll first demonstrate pipes and pumps. So what we have here is we have a pipe that goes into the ocean, and there's a pump on the end of it. Now when I right click the pump, it'll actually take water from the ocean and it will very shortly fill up this little container that I've created. And I can right click to turn it off once again so that I don't overflow. So that's one thing. Those pumps can also be powered by redstone. So if I come over here and I flip this switch, it'll actually trigger that pump via redstone and it'll fill up this little area I've made for it. Now I'll disable that really quickly before it overflows. Actually, it started overflowing. My bad. But another block that was just implemented are these grates. Now right now the grate is turned off. However, when I flip the switch, it'll actually allow water to flow on through it, which is kind of cool. And on top of that, when I flip this grate, this is what's called a water sensor. So when water hits it, it'll actually ignite the redstone, and thus, that's why I have a door there, it'll allow the door to flip. So I'll undo that. Water will flow through, and voila, triggers the redstone sensor or water sensor, and the door opens. So kind of a lot of possibilities with that, I suppose. Also, sponges actually have a purpose now. When you turn on the pump, again the pump is just placed in the water. The sponges will now actually absorb the water, and I'll let it go for a little bit of time. I don't actually know how much each sponge can hold. Quite a bit though. So now I'll go ahead and turn off the pump just by right clicking it again. And now if I right click the sponge, water will actually come out of it. Whoops. It's obviously more useful if it's on an edge, that way you can actually see the water coming out of it, and it'll flow back into the ocean. So yeah, that's sponges. They actually serve a purpose now. They hold water, and now that I've gotten rid of it all, well, that's about it. We could get rid of the water and all these others by wringing them out by right-clicking, but I think you get the idea. Anyway, what I thought I'd do now is put together sort of a contraption that takes advantage of all the different features and the blocks implemented. I suppose I could place some sponges down here, but what it is a little contraption that takes water from the ocean and pumps it into this container. Now the container will stay sealed so long as the water does not reach the level of this water sensor. Now once the water sensor is triggered by the water reaching this level, rather than letting the thing overflow, what will actually happen is this will trigger the grates over here to open up, allowing the water to flow through. And simultaneously, since what actually turns on the pump function is attached to an AND gate right here, and that's already off. Excuse me, I'm getting myself lost here. That's already on. When you flip the switch, it turns this off, allowing the pump to function. However, once this is tripped, it will, on top of flipping the grates, it will disable the pump because it will ignite this torch, thus not letting this one function anymore. Now, again, it's kind of complicated. Well, it's kind of complicated in my explaining it, but once enough water escapes out of the grates, obviously the water will go down below the level of this again, and the pump will re-enable itself. So it's just this whole automated cycle that I've created. It's probably easier if you see it in action, so that's what I'll go ahead and do. And then it'll just slowly but surely fill up this little reservoir thing. So here we go. And the pump will begin to fill up this thing. Could take a few seconds to actually fill. So feel free to twiddle your thumbs, I suppose. Alright. And once it finally hits the sensor, there we go. The grate's open, and it lets the water out. And you can see the pump will start flickering, and the grates will flicker as well as the sensor is tripped and then deactivated again by the water sinking below the level. So yeah, kind of a nifty automated system that doesn't allow anything to overflow. Obviously, I could just take the pump and place it into there, but that defeats the fun of making this whole system. So, kind of cool, I suppose. I'm sure my explanation was kind of difficult to understand. For that, I apologize, but I can go over here and show you sort of how it flickers on and off. So yeah, basically those two need to be deactivated in order for the pump to function. And anyway, that's about it for this little thing. Slowly but surely this will fill up until it overflows, so I'll actually turn it off by flipping that, and once again everything is turned off once the water sinks below that level. So that's it. Now also a couple new features which I can't really demonstrate because they either take too long or for some reason I can't get them to work. But so this is called Cobblestone Spore, and what will happen is if you expose that repeatedly to water and then dry it again, it'll actually spread the moss over to these blocks on top of the initial one. So just a way to spread moss, I suppose. And also, iron is supposed to be able to actually heat up. For some reason, I can't get it to work. I'm sure I'm just doing something wrong. I can't figure out where exactly I need to place the lava. I have lava on all sides, but there is also finite lava. This is just standard lava. However, the finite lava, when you place it down, doesn't fill up the whole block. Anyway, I'm somewhat confused. But when you get the iron to heat up, actually, and you place water on it, it should boil and it'll bubble. And it'll actually cause damage to mobs when mobs go inside it and stuff. But yeah, I think that's about it for what I've got set up. The link to download the mod is in the description, as always. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. If you have, it would be awesome if you wouldn't mind taking half a second to leave a rating. I do really appreciate it. But other than that, I'll see you all next time.